Hey, I'm Riss and I read. Let's get into it. So, this is my first video, so I thought we'd just dive right in with my wrap up for March. March. It was a hefty month for me. I got through 21 books. Let's start with the first two, The Low of Love and The Right of Love by Love Belvin. This was a continuation. I had started the first book in the series in the end of February, and I just continued reading them throughout March. I had trouble with this series purely just because the language of it all was very hard to absorb and sometimes make sense of it. There was a lot of slang, which I didn't quite understand, and I didn't really get with the characters or really connect with them as much as I'd like to. The characters themselves were kind of all over the place, and I really just didn't love where the story was going. Not to mention, I felt like the story could have been told a little faster. The books were certainly longer than I think needed to be. So, The Low of Love, I rated 3 stars, and The Right of Love, I rated 2.5 stars. Next up, I have Deep End by Ali Hazelwood, and Ali Hazelwood could do no wrong in my eyes, to be honest. I love everything that she's put out. And this one was the most fun because it was something she's not really done before. Yes, her characters still have something to do with STEM, which that's generally what she likes to write about because she's very familiar with that topic. But it was something with divers, which was fun, and a little more kinks, which she doesn't really delve into. And this was a fun experience for that. This is quite a hit or miss for a lot of people, but for me, it was a hit. I gave this one 5 stars. Next up, I have Fable, Saint, and Namesake. And I listened to these on Libby. Let's get into Fable. Fable, I thought was good. I enjoyed it. I liked the characters. My only issue is the world was kind of thrown at me, and there was a lot of information about this world that it was just hard to take in because of all of the information at once. So it was kind of hard to find my bearings. But once I found my bearings, everything was good. I enjoyed it, and I loved the cliffhanger. I went on to Saint, which Saint I would have liked to start before Fable. And this is a prequel to Fable and Namesake. And I wish I would have known that going in because reading Saint, you kind of get the foundation that you needed for Fable to really enjoy Fable. And it was fun to really get to understand her parents and specifically her father and how he became the way he was. And it just made everything a little bit more relatable in regards to her father and her and their relationship by understanding his character. So I really wish I would have read this first to really get the full effect of Fable. And then after Saint, obviously, I moved on to Namesake. And Namesake is the final book in the duology of Fable and Namesake. And it was great. It was fantastic. Once I read Saint and fully grasped everything that I needed for Fable, I really enjoyed Namesake. I liked the dynamics of the characters and the little romance aspect, the betrayal. Oh, it was just so good. And being able to see, the characters from Saint's book become like serious villains in this book was such a fun ride for me. So it was great to actually get to fully appreciate this duology for what it was after reading Saint. So for Fable, I rated that 4 stars. Saint, I rated that 4.5 stars, and Namesake, I did 5 stars. Next up, I listened to this book um, mainly because I had the physical copy on my bookshelf and I just needed to get into it. It had been on my bookshelf for quite some time, and since it was available on Libby, I was like, well, might as well. The book is called If I Never Met You. If I Never Met You is essentially about a woman who has been in this long relationship. It's been over a decade, and she's serious about this relationship. She wants to move on, she wants to have kids. She is in love with her partner and she trusts him wholeheartedly. He's her best friend. And then one day she comes home and he says that he doesn't want to be with her. And it hurt, obviously, for her, but it also hurt me as the reader to read, especially because she was in her 30s, she wanted kids, and with this breakup, she'd have to start all over again. And being a woman myself, knowing that the time to have children is kind of earlier on, so you need to get working on that if you want kids. Um, her time was limited and it was something she really wanted, and I just felt that so viscerally that it made me hate men a little bit. But anyways, I really enjoyed this book because she ends up finding someone else, and she really gets the love that she deserves. And I think it really did a really great job with the trauma of coming out of a relationship that betrays you so much. She has very much trust issues, and the way she handles her trauma and the perspective she gains from this emotional roller coaster is really kind of beautiful in a way. I just really enjoyed this book, and I gave this book 4 stars. Next up, One Dark Window. I know it's a popular book for a reason, and I just put it off for too long. I finally got into it after 3 of my friends were like, "You gotta start it," and they had just finished it, and they motivated me to finally pick it up. And I'm glad I did because One Dark Window was beautifully done. My biggest issue with One Dark Window is that it is a lot of world building. And that's fine. But because there's a lot of world building, it's so hard to keep up with the story when you're trying to remember all of the elements of the magic. So that was my biggest issue with One Dark Window. But I love the characters. I love the villains because they're so irritating and in the best way. Like I want to murder them, but that's what you want to do for a villain. You don't want a villain who is just morally gray because then you kind of want to root for the villain. I did not want to root for this villain. I also read obviously Two Twisted Crowns right after that, and I have no words for this one. I quite literally loved this book so much. I thought it was so well done because we didn't just get one POV, like as in One Dark Window, we got several characters' POVs, and each character was going through their own journey, and I loved seeing it. It was so interesting to see their thoughts and feelings for their perspectives. And it was fun because I got to see one person going through their own journey, and it could be very tense. And then we'd be moving on to a different perspective, and I'd be like, no, take me back because I need to know. But it was kind of like that back and forth between the two journeys, but it kept me on the edge of my seat for the entire book. And with the foundation that was built with One Dark Window, I fully could appreciate all the magic and the system that was laid out for one from One Dark Window to Two Twisted Crowns. So I gave Two Twisted Crowns 5 stars, and it was worth every star. Next up, I got into a Jennifer L. Armentrout series. It's the Covenant series. And I read Half Blood, Pure, Deity, and Elixir. And I'm going to be honest, it was kind of hard to get through. I'm still reading the series currently. I have 2 more books to read, and I'm fighting with myself to read it every day because the female main character is a lot. She's a lot. She makes the worst choices, and it makes it really hard for me to root for her when she keeps making the worst decisions. And her decisions don't just impact her, but the other characters in a negative light. And then anything that happens positively is just pure luck for her character, but everyone thinks it's skill that really grinds my gears. And the trust she places in some people is a little iffy. Again, bad decisions. And it's just becoming more and more difficult for me to enjoy the series as a whole, just purely because of that one character, which is really unfortunate because as a female, I like rooting for the female main character. But in this moment, I can't truly say that I love this book series. So for Half Blood, I rated 3.5 stars. For Pure, I rated 4 stars. For Deity, I rated 3.75 stars. And Elixir, which is just a novella, I rated 3.5 stars. Hopefully, I can get through this series and maybe it'll end on a lighter note. Next up, I have True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. I have mixed feelings. I have mixed feelings about this book because the premise of the book is a girl who basically is a writer who loves love. And while she's giving a talk to a college group, she realizes that she's hit a rut and she doesn't actually love love. And so she's lost her spark in writing and she just doesn't know how to find it. She goes on one night stands, but she's not finding what she once had, and it's making it very difficult to be able to write her romance books. And then we bring in this single dad who spotted her at a bar and thought she was attractive, but she didn't actually go up to him because again, she has no spark for life and love anymore. And he's actually a producer for a larger production company, and he needs to make a um, reality romance TV show, like The Bachelor. And lo and behold, who is he going to choose other than this author? And obviously, they have a lot of banter, they have a lot of back and forth, and obviously, they're going to end up together. But my biggest issue with this book is the deceit of it all. I like honesty. And it was her still doing this show and, getting close and going on these dates with these contestants who are supposed to be her future boyfriends. It's the whole goal of the show is for her to find love. But she's already found it with this producer behind the scenes, but she continues the show. And I think that's what kind of irritated me the most is the fact that she kept going with the show, knowing full well that she didn't have her full heart in it. And it made me upset for the contestants. Not that it really impacted them much, but I just couldn't get over it. And because of that, I gave the book 3.25 stars. Is what it is. You can't love them all. Next up, I have The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. And I have so many great things to say about this book, and I just can't articulate it all. The Kiss Quotient is about a woman on the spectrum who really needs help in the spicy department. And so she goes to hire a man for his work. Um, and she hires him to help her with her expertise in the bedroom. And it's honestly so much fun because she's so point blank and she takes everything, at face value, which is something on the spectrum. And just the way she reacts to things and it's just so enjoyable because of the innocence of it all. And I love seeing more inclusion in my romance books. I wish there was more of it. But it was really fun to see them kind of fall into this romance between the two just from their personalities alone. And I really, really recommend this book. I did give this one 4.5 stars. Next up, I have Business or Pleasure by Rachel Lynn Solomon. Rachel Lynn Solomon. Okay, I have to give her all her flowers because what a book. I actually got this book sent to me in like a secret exchange, and someone on their Amazon note said that it was really good. They really enjoyed it, and it was a surprising a surprising book. And I saw that and I was like, oh, I don't know. It looks like it sounded interesting, but I was never in the mood to read it. And when I saw it on Libby, I was like, well, if the stars align, and they aligned, and I'm so happy they did because it was such a cute book. It was so unique. So, Business or Pleasure is about a girl, well, a woman who is having a rough time. She's a ghostwriter and she just doesn't feel like her work means much. And she meets a man at a bar and they have the best day. And that best day turns into a little spicy night. But unfortunately, her one night stand was a dud. The man does not have any moves, and everything that could go wrong did go wrong. The next day, she is prompted to write a book for a small town celebrity, and lo and behold, it is for the same man who she had a horrible one night stand with. And though she does agree, she keeps things friendly until he mentions how great their night was. And she unfortunately, or fortunately, says it wasn't so great. And so he asks her if she could teach him some things. And you know what? She does. And it's so good. It's such a refreshing take on a romance because usually men in romance books know what they're doing in the bedroom, they know what they're doing. But in this book, he has no clue. He has no clue, and it's so endearing. I loved it. It was just such a nice, refreshing read because I just don't see a lot like them. So I gave this book 5 stars. Next up, Sith and Sparrow. So listen, listen. I read Butcher and Blackbird, and I thought that book was just okay. I thought it was a lot overhyped. A lot overhyped. That book was just not it for me, for many reasons. But I did give the second one a shot, but that one I read audibly instead of physically, like I did Butcher and Blackbird. And I enjoyed it a lot more, and I think that was mainly because of the voice actors, because voice actors can really make or break a book sometimes, and I thought that one was done really well, and the story was done a lot better. It was well thought out. Now, Sith and Sparrow, I thought was the best of the trilogy. It was well thought out. The characters were so much fun. I loved their dynamic, and it was just so nice to see the third brother kind of fight with himself and have to overcome those like inner demons of him being able to really show his violent side, even though he is a doctor. So I thought it was really cool to see him grow as a character, as well as the female main character grow as well. It was done quite nicely, and the story was actually storying. The plot was plotting. I gave this book 4.25 stars. Next up, I have The Teacher by Frida McFadden, and I have only ever read the Housemaid series by Frida McFadden, and she did okay. I thought that book series was just okay. But she's such a popular author. I thought I'd give her another shot. And I listened to this book as well. And honestly, the entire book gave me the ick for many reasons. And I didn't love any of the characters. I had no one to root for, and just the hypocrisy of the plot twist at the end really grinded my gears. It just made me angry. I was just angry the entire book. So I did not enjoy it. It made me uncomfortable. The grooming, it was just not a great time for me. I can't get more into it than I already have. I gave this book only 2 stars. Next up, Say I Do by Brea Alipo and Skylar Snow. This was a fun one. It was a mafia MM romance. It was an arranged marriage trope. and it's the third book in the series. I didn't read the first two because they could all be read as standalones, and I had saw a review from one of my bookish friends, and she said it was really good. So I was like, well, if they can be read as standalones, I'll go ahead and read this one. And it was cute. I loved the characters. The plot was okay. There was a lot of loose ends that needed to be tied up. So I didn't like the fact that it could be read as a standalone, but there were still a lot of loose ends. So for the loose end reason specifically, I gave this book 3 stars. Next up, Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren. Now, speaking of icks, I have so many icks. I don't read a lot of romances, if ever, where I quite literally hate the MMC. Um, Usually, if an MMC has issues, there's like a redemption arc, but that was not the case for this book. Not to mention, I was in the mood for like yearning because it's a workplace romance where he's her boss and she's the assistant. I thought there was going to be a lot of yearning, a lot of tension. There was none. They start going at it like in the first chapter, and I was like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that. But there really wasn't a plot to this story. It was just a lot of spice, and I didn't like him. I feel like he didn't really give her much of a choice, which really rubbed me the wrong way. Not to mention, towards the end, like he gaslights her and he patronizes her, and then he doesn't really apologize. He doesn't really know why he should apologize. And I was like, she just needs to go with someone else. Like that is not the man for you. I was like, I don't care how good this ex is. He's not the man for you. So for those reasons, I gave this book 2 stars. Last but certainly not least, I read Tweet Cute by Emma Lord, and it was a nice wrap up for the month because Tweet Cute follows a girl and a guy who have respective businesses within their families. They're both restaurants, and they kind of go at it on Twitter, like in a Twitter war. And it was refreshing because it made me miss what Twitter used to be, and now that's all gone to heck. But I loved this book. It was so cute. I don't really read a lot of closed door romance books, but I liked this one a lot. My biggest issue with this one is that there wasn't a lot of on page resolution. It was a lot of like, oh, this happened and this happened and this happened in the epilogue, but nothing we got to see in the book itself, to see those relationships kind of progress, or kind of get over whatever was in their way. For instance, like the mom and one of the daughters had a lot of issues and were not talking. And all we got really at the end is that they kind of reconciled, but that's all we really got. We didn't really get to see that reconciliation. So it kind of bugged me that I didn't get to see that stuff. I'd rather to see those reconciliations instead of some of the other stuff I did see. So, but I did enjoy it, so I gave this book 4 stars. Now that is all. That is the whopping 21 books that I read this past March. That is the whopping 21 books I read this past March. Now, if we want to tally some things up, here are the stats. I read 11 audiobooks, 6 physical books, and 5 Kindle books. What a month of March. I like to end this with what book I'm most excited to get into for the month of April, and that book would be The Shadow Bride by Shelby Mahurin. And I'm most excited to get into this one purely just because I read The Scarlet Veil a little over a year ago, and I've been chomping at the bit ever since that cliffhanger that killed me. And I really do mean kill me. This is my ghost. But anyways, I can't wait to get into, and I can't wait to keep filming for you guys. If you have any books that you read in March that matched mine, please let me know in the comments, or what your favorite book of March was. I would love to know about that. I'll get with you and we can talk about it because I love talking about books. But that is all, guys. Until next time, read on, my bookish friends.